Certain people probably could, but JT's a little different.
Over here on the left for Coach Meyer.
Urban, with Dwayne Haskins Jr. getting more reps maybe than ever before this week, maybe not, I'm not sure, but where have you seen progress in him just from last week to now?
Well, incredible amount of progress, and I think throughout the year he's grown up, he's matured. I think the Illinois game, if you look back, and he played, you know, obviously the weather was terrible, but after the fumble, he came back and played with energy, emotion, which we expect out of our quarterback, and it carried over and practiced well the following week, and when his number was called, he played high-level football for us. So a lot of confidence in him right now amongst our players and the staff.
Urban, speaking of Haskins, is there any possible way that he's in the game plan or somebody that you could rely on regardless of JT's health?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
We're going to ask people, remind you, please hold up your hand if you'd like to ask any questions. Continue on the left.
You just touched on it, how JT's different. Just expand on that a little bit more. How is he different? What makes him so tough?
He's just one of the toughest human beings I've ever come across in my career, and a guy that's all in, and just a very unique individual.
Urban, JT's running is obviously a huge part of what he does. If he isn't fully himself tomorrow, how closely do you have to watch that?
I can barely hear you.
I said JT's running is a huge part of what he does. If he can't run like he normally does, how delicate is that situation for you?
Oh, that's very delicate, and that's something we're going to watch during the course of the game, and some game time decisions will be made.
Hey, Urban. Oof. Over here to your right. Do you feel like your offense is much more diverse than maybe in some years? You feel like you have a lot of options this year, running, passing, different running backs, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I think I relate it back to the 2014 year when we were very balanced. You know, our goal was to be 250, 250, and we're close to that. The last couple of years we were not, and so that's just something I've always wanted to be and strive to be, and put a lot of pressure on our staff to make sure that we're always, you know, you can't be one-dimensional, and I like where we're at. Yeah, we are a very good situation. We are 6 strong at receiver, and that's rare. And the 6 guys, I can't say enough good things about them because they're selfless. They're, you know, Johnny Dixon, I don't believe had a ball caught last week, but he graded a champion because we needed him in certain situations, and he performed. And then Terry McLaurin's one of our aces on special teams, and Austin Mack does everything for us. So I can't say enough about those guys.
We'd like to remind people once again, please use our microphones. Our press conference is being televised. Front row on the left.
Urban, I know it's a health issue with the player, and that can be delicate sometimes, but for those of us who aren't medical experts, the idea that someone could have an arthroscopic procedure on a Sunday and play a football game on a Saturday maybe is hard to wrap your head around. Did you guys know when he was having it Sunday that, yes, he can do this and definitely still be good to go on Saturday? How was all that decision made?
I guess I don't want to get into too much detail because it's JT's business, but so much of it has to do with how he does during the course of the week. And the trainers and doctors are very involved, and it's not finished. You know, we're still 24 hours out. So if I've had a player do it before that was scoped early in the week and played, and then I've had others that can't, and it's the body has to react a certain way, and his has been very positive.
Go to the back row.
Urban, you had back here. You had cold against Penn State, a monsoon against Illinois, wind in Michigan. How important is it to be inside the dome, especially with JT's knee, and to maximize your passing that you struggled with sometimes?
Well, I think this is everybody strives to get to Indianapolis, and we're here. We love it here. Have great memories coming back here, and to answer your question, I just think, you know, I don't think too much of it, but because both teams have to play in it, yet under the circumstances, because we want to. This is a very good defense we're facing. You're going to have to be balanced against them as well, and having no weather issues is obviously I think a positive for both teams.
Second row on the left.
Both teams' styles are different, but both teams obviously like to have big physical offensive lines and really good front sevens. Is this game as simple as who wins the line of scrimmage tomorrow?
I think so. I think any big game that you can just research it, and I tend to do that myself, but every big game, that it'll come down to who can control the line of scrimmage, especially, their style of play is real physical, and even though we operate from a spread set, ours is very physical as well. So the line of scrimmage is going to be the key to the game tomorrow.
To the right side.
Urban right here. I know over the course of the year you guys have played different types of games, good games, bad games. What's your curiosity level in terms of which Ohio State team is going to show up for now the biggest game of the season?
I don't know if it's curiosity. I'm more worried about the task at hand and how it went this week, and we practiced outstanding. We have a lot of respect for our opponent, and the greatest way to show respect is to go out and perform well and practice well, and that's what they did.
Question here, front row.
Urban, with the awards this week, Nick Bosa gave you another Defensive Lineman of the Year. Joey won that a couple years ago as a sophomore. If you could only pick one, Nick Bosa as a sophomore or Joey as a sophomore, which one would you take?
I think you know my answer, and that's we're playing a very good Wisconsin team, and keep the eye on the target.
Second row.
Urban, obviously with JT's health status, a major question right now with the running. How important and how much preparation has gone into... I'm sorry, let me repeat the question. With JT Barrett's running ability still a question mark, how prepared are J.K. Dobbins and Mike Weber to handle the running load tomorrow?
They're full go, ready to go, and they complement each other very well, and they'll be used quite often.
Let's go down here, front row to our left.
Urban, obviously I'm asking about JT in this situation, but with any player that is dealing with an injury and trying to play through it, just the idea of pain tolerance and being able to play well when you're not 100% physically. Is that a skill? Do most players at this level have that? Are there some guys who are just better at that than others in fighting through something like this?
That's a great question. No, I would say that's not normal. It takes a rare individual to be able to, because there is a pain threshold. There is also when you start talking about 15 hours a day of treatment, which is what he did, and I can't say that's normal, because it's not. I've had players had similar type things happen. They're 2-3 weeks, but he's not normal.
Go to the front row on the right.
Urban, you said that JT is cleared, but what is your level of confidence that he will both start and be able to play like JT Barrett does?
Those are all decisions I'm going to make tomorrow. I want to see, we're going to have a walkthrough here in a little bit, and still having conversations with Coach Day and Coach Wilson about it.
Move back here to the left. We've got a couple of questions back to back here.
Yeah. Urban, you had 4 or 3 of your offensive linemen named to the first team, at least one of the 2 teams, all Big Ten, and Isaiah Prince made the 3rd team. I'm just wondering, just that group especially, and Isaiah Prince in particular, is it amazing the progress he's made this season?
Yeah, Isaiah's, I can't say enough about him. My trust in him, my confidence and respect I have for him. I've always liked Isaiah, but to say I respected him the way I do now, he's really grown up, and I just can't say enough about him. He's also actually developed a lot of leadership skills too, and I think Billy Price is the common denominator of that group. He's the focal point. He's the guy that has kept him. And we've had a little bit of a dip in offensive line play here the last couple of years, and it's back to what we expect. And obviously tomorrow's going to be a great test for us.
Urban, a lot is being made of JT and his ability to run the football and his health. I'm wondering, Dwayne came in last week, and he obviously played pretty well and helped you guys win a football game on the road in a tough environment. How different is the offense, or do you need to call the offense when Dwayne's in? Can he run it to the same ability? I know that he might be a step down in terms of the zone read and stuff, but does the offense have to change if Dwayne is needed and called on?
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations about that. Conceptually, it doesn't change at all. Frequency of play calls will be something that's taken into consideration because they are a little bit different. One has a greater skill, and then they just have not tremendously different skill sets, but different skill sets.
Stay in the second row.
Coach, I'm just curious, there's been a lot of distractions, I guess, around the program with JT's health and, coaching things with Coach Schiano. I'm just wondering, how have you seen your team handle the distractions this week in the preparation for this one?
Laser focused, man. They've been fantastic, and a lot of credit to those players and our group of coaches. We've had a good week. Now we have to play like it, but we've had a good week.
Hey, Urban, sorry, just a quick follow-up to the question I just asked about Haskins and the offense. Is there any similarity, being back in this building and, with JT and Cardale, is there any similarity that you can see between JT and Dwayne from a offensive philosophy standpoint?
Austin, do you want to answer that for him? Yeah. Thank you.
I'll quote you, Austin.
Questions? Need some hands, please. Second row again.
Urban, will you stick with the same linebacker lineup you've had, or starting linebacker lineup you've had the last several weeks with Borland in the middle and Worley and Baker?
Yes. I think the other ones are, Booker's ready to go now, and Malik Harrison will play as well. So we got some depth, much needed depth at those spots.
Front row.
Urban, between J.K. and Jonathan Taylor for Wisconsin, it's two freshman running backs that have come in and made an impact right away. Do you think that that's the future of college football, that those guys can do that, or are these guys just rare? I mean, what do you make of guys that are able to play that position so quickly?
No, it's not normal. It's I look at our great running backs we've had. Carlos Hyde was certainly not ready to play as a young player. Zeke Elliott was not. He got pretty good real fast, but his freshman year was nothing compared to these two guys you're talking about. And Mike Weber took a minute to get where he has to get. Now he's fantastic right now. So I think that's a credit to ours and Wisconsin's running back to be able to do that. There's a lot of maturity involved to be able to handle that position as a freshman.
Go to the back row.
Coach, you mentioned several times that you have a tough task tomorrow. What do you expect from a Paul Chryst coach team?
I know Paul Chryst team, and I know Wisconsin football, and I have a lot of respect for just the way they do their business. And I go back to my good friend Barry Alvarez. I think he's put a template together and has hired remarkable coaches to follow that template. And this might be the best of all of them. Coach Chryst does an amazing job, and his staff, and they keep plugging, and they recruit and develop players as good as anybody.
Front row.
Urban, you and JT have been together for so long now. Could you just sort of describe in a situation like this, when you have a coach and a quarterback who have worked together for so long, and when you're dealing with a week like this, just what the relationship does, that you know him, he knows you. Just what's it been like this week, and does it make it a better situation to deal with because you know each other so well?
I think so. I think, I got my sons here with me, and JT's in that same, I feel like I've spent so much time with him over the last few years, and we've had our ups, downs, and in tough situations, and you get to really learn about people and respect people, and I can't tell you, everybody knows my feelings for him, but you asked the question, and it certainly does play. It's been 5 years we've been together, and it's been an incredible 5 years.
Coach will swing over to the first row to our right.
Other than JT, how's the health of your team? Were there any other injuries in practice this week?
I think we're good to go.
Second row.
Urban, what stands out most about this Wisconsin defense from maybe others that you faced?
Um, Once again, I'm not being disrespectful, and I'll be perfectly clear about that. I just want to say it's Wisconsin, because it's not. It's very good. It's great football players, and they base out of a 3-4 most of the time, and the linebackers are outstanding. And just when you saw the Wyatt kid and some of these other kids go to the NFL, and they pump them back in there, and you got them again. And I think the common theme is they're tough, and they play so darn hard, and they understand their defense. They don't do a lot. You know, you'll face defenses that do a lot, and then sometimes they'll blow coverages, et cetera, because they're doing too much. Where these guys are, you know, you're going to get what you think you're going to get, but they're so well schooled and they understand their defense so well.
Second row left.
Urban, harping on JT again and his toughness, was it the Penn State game that still sticks out in your mind where he proved to you, and then since then, I guess what level has he had in your mind about, you know, playing with pain, so to speak, et cetera?
Yeah, I think so many times you don't see, because it's not public knowledge about, you know, playing as many games as he's played, playing a position. It's a violent position that, you know, but I do recall that's when I remember that caught me off guard when he had a second-degree MCL sprain, and finished the game, and not only finished the game, but helped us win that thing in overtime. And yeah, that stands out, that game.
Questions for Coach Meyer? Stay in the second row.
Yeah, Urban, there's no secret that the last at Iowa, the defense had some problems picking up tight ends, et cetera. Obviously, last week there were some problems, at least early. Fumagalli is considered, I think, one of the more talented talented tight ends in the league, maybe in the nation. But what do you think your defense has gotten straightened out just about that little aspect of things?
Well, that's the offenses that are a hardcore downhill runs and then have the play action off it. That's what's hard to defend. And there's one way to improve on, that's work at it, but that's a very effective tool for them, and that's something we worked hard all week on.
Stay right here in the second row.
Urban, this week you guys have had to prepare for a big football game, and you're here now. This is obviously a big week too, with the early signing period for recruiting. A lot of other coaches that aren't playing in games this weekend are out there recruiting while you guys can't. How tough is that to overcome later on? Do you have to overcompensate by doing anything else? And is it kind of a tough situation and a bad byproduct of making it to this game?
Yeah, I wish there was an easier way, but I'm not sure what it is, especially with this early signing. You know, I don't believe it's fair, but, you know, I'd much rather be here. But that's something that, you know, I have a whole recruiting staff that what's the answer? Work that much harder. And when this game's over, get on a plane and go do the best you can to keep going. But the best recruiting tool out there is for us to play well tomorrow.
We have roughly 10 minutes still before our photo opportunity with the coaches. I'd like to open for any continued questions, please. If anybody's got a question. Here we go, front row, to the right.
Urban, do you expect Mike Weber to continue at kickoff return, or is that something Paris Campbell can get back in the mix on?
Mike's going to start tomorrow.
We have opportunity for a couple of more questions, please. Second row to the right.
Hey, Urban, you've been in this game a number of times. You've been in the SEC championship. Are there any comparisons between those two games that you've been in both?
Sure is. You know, I know that's sold out pretty quickly. Everything I've heard, the fans are fantastic. I commend Atlanta because that's where the SEC is, and just the way they treat the players and hospitality in Indianapolis is just on par with that. So I can't. I even told our players today. For those of you that were with me before when we came, and there's a handful. The stadium takes your breath away a little bit, the way you're treated. So enjoy it, but the best way to enjoy is prepare the best you can and go play well.
We've got 3 questions here. We're going to continue on our far left.
Hi, Urban. At a place like Ohio State, it's awfully hard for a player to carve their own legacy because there's so much history, so much winning tradition there. But these players, in talking to them this week, really they sense to want to grasp that part of it, winning a championship, just the idea of being a champion. Can you explain the element of that in your program? Just having those guys have their picture up on the wall and those sorts of things that are so important to the program overall, having this group of players get their shot at that.
Yeah, I think that's been hard to imagine another program that has the history that Ohio State has, dating all the way back, I believe, to 1919 was early 1900s when the first championship, and it's all over the walls, and deservedly so. I refer to those walls quite often. And how do you really measure a quarterback? Championships. How do you measure a great tailback? Championships. How do you measure great teams? Championships. And we haven't been here in 2 years, so this is a great opportunity, and they want to be part of that.
Far right, front row.
Urban, was the decision for JT to have the procedure his, or was that more of a team doctor decision? And when that happened, when you found out he was going to have that, what would you think the chance of him playing in this game would be?
I don't think it's ever, well, I wasn't part of that decision, so I imagine it was the player and the doctor that decided, had an MRI, and then what was the best way to get this thing going. And I never, just don't put anything past JT. He said, Coach, I'll be fine. Okay, and then we went about our business, and I watched him rehab. Every time I walked by the train room, when I got in at 6 a.m., he's there. And when I go home at night, he's there. So
we'll take one final question here in the front row left before our photo.
Urban, we know that your offenses have had an effective quarterback run game your entire career, and you've had different styles of quarterbacks. Just the way JT runs it, whether it's the called runs or the scrambles, why is he good at it? What is the best part of his game as a running threat?
Well, he's deceptively fast. He's a very good athlete, and he's very rarely minus yardage guy. There's nothing worse than a quarterback, and I was so proud to see Dwayne Haskins got pressured to one, and the things that drive you nuts is when the quarterback starts going that way, and that's holding penalties, and if something's not there, it's not always going to be perfect. Put your foot in the ground and get positive yardage. And I thought Dwayne did a hell of a job against our rivals last week, and JT's probably the best I've had at that, as far as just positive yardage when a play breaks down.
Thanks, Coach Meyer. If you'd like to hold on just one moment, we'll bring out Coach Christ, we'll stage a photo, and then we'll continue our news conference.
Thanks. Stay here. Where's your suit and tie? I was worried. Not really. If I did, I called my SID. I said, that son of a bitch better not be wearing a suit and tie. Bet you don't.
Coaches, if we could have you slide up right, we could have you slide up right behind the trophy. We could have you slide right up. You want to pose? Peter, if you want to tell me when you're good. You're good to go? All right. Let everyone else get a couple of photos, and then we'll continue. We're good now. Coach Meyer, thank you very much. Thank you. We'd like to remind everyone again, please silence your cell phones. Once again, no flash photography, no live video, actually no video, no tripods on your tables. If you need audio or video assistance, please visit Hammond Communications in the back of the room. I'd like to welcome Coach Paul Christ with the Wisconsin Badgers, West Division champions, 12-0 during the 2017 season. Once again, we'd like to ask your cooperation. Please raise your hand when you have a question. We will direct our mic holders, Savannah and Kelsey, to you. And I think I see a question, second row. Any hands, please? Actually, I think, but he's not looking up.
Who, me?
Yeah, I thought you
I'll
had
ask
your
a
hand
question.
up. Sorry.
I didn't hold my hand up,
There
but
you
I'll
go.
definitely ask a question. Hey, Coach Chris, Coach Meyer just said that J.T. Barrett looks like he's good to go. Didn't commit on whether he's going to play or not, but it kind of goes along with what you said on Sunday. You expect him to play, but how have you guys kind of approached that from a preparation standpoint of which quarterback you'll see?
We've planned all week on. We know we're going to get Ohio State's best, and certainly J.T. Barrett's an unbelievable quarterback, and it's pretty neat what he's done throughout his whole career, and certainly what he's done this year. But and he's an important part of it. But you're preparing for their whole team, and certainly our defense is preparing for their whole offense, and they're going to have a quarterback, and we've got to be able to defend it.
Back row here to our left, Coach.
Paul, could you speak to how difficult it will be to replace what Xander gave you in the run game and your confidence level and Kyle Pennison to be able to step up in that area?
Yeah, I mean, Xander was, I love what he's given to this team. And like every player that plays a lot and then they don't play, you miss that. And it's, it is an opportunity for Kyle and others, to step in and step up. And when I say others, I think that's one part that our team has done well, is that when a guy is out, certainly the next person in has a opportunity and responsibility to the team. But I think everyone, can help pick up the slack. And so, certainly really, I thought Xander was playing really good football. And so the first part, you're going to miss that, right? And you feel bad for him because he's missing this opportunity. But, others will step in and they got to step up, and that's part of it.
Paul in the back here, same area. It's amazing how calm you stay in these situations. How on earth have you learned over the years to not get too high or too low and just be yourself?
Well, I think at the last part, it's important for you to be yourself, and the game of football is for the players. It's never been about myself, and it's your job is how can you help them maximize the opportunity that they have and coach them. And it's I think I've been fortunate throughout my career being with other coaches that I've been able to see successful and be themselves, and I've been able to work for coaches that allow you to be yourself and want, more than anything, you want your players to be themselves. That's what's really cool about what we get to do is it's 110, 115 different people and coming together and being one team. And so, but what makes that team fun is all the different personalities, all the different styles, all the different backgrounds. Everyone's got their own story. And so I think it's just, it's important to be who you are.
Second row on our left.
Hi, Paul. Both teams obviously have very good offensive lines, very good front sevens. Is winning tomorrow just as simple as winning the line of scrimmage more than the other side?
Well, I think certainly almost every football game that I've been a part of, you know, the offense, defense line, who wins that is a big part of it. But it's football's a great team game. It's going to take everyone in all three phases. But certainly, you know, a big part of football is, you know, what happens at the line of scrimmage.
Coach will swing to your right, front row.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
What are your impressions of Dwayne Haskins? And also, 3 years ago, Cardale Jones came into this game. Obviously, you weren't the coach, but there was almost no film of him. How much does it help to at least have some film of him to prepare for?
Well, I think like you probably the right answer is in how you asked it and what it can be beneficial, and if you don't, you know, it's certainly you want to get an idea of what you may see, but it's one piece of it, and I think you got to make sure that, you know, our group focuses on the whole picture. And you know, anytime you've got some film, you've got an idea, but there's probably more to it than what you see, and so you got to be careful, I think, of trying to make such a big judgment, or this is what we're going to do, or this is what they did. It's, you know what, it's a really good team, and it's a really good offense, and we've got to be able to defend the whole thing. Yeah, he's really good, you know what I mean, and what makes them good is the whole group.
Coach will stay to the right side, row 3.
Obviously, coming into the season, you knew you had some decent personnel on defense, but how much has it surprised you how well Jim has handled the defense, considering, you know, just being in his first year as a coordinator?
Well, I think, you know, Jim's done a really nice job, and Jim has not done it alone. You know, Tim Tibesar has, you know, been coordinated a number of years. He's been really good, and Noki Brechterfield's, you know, I think one of the best D-line coaches in the country, and you know, I think Bob Bostad brought another look at it, you know, coming from traditionally in more of an offensive background. And so I've loved what Jimmy's done, and he stayed true to who he is, and I think our whole staff has done a great job of knowing our team, knowing our players, and helping them, you know, with schemes that they can do, that they understand, and it's been good. It's taken everyone. I guess that's my point, you know, and Jim does a great job of communicating and teaching, all those, but it's, you know, I think our defense has been successful. It's been a good year. We're going to get tested in a different way tomorrow night, but, you know, what they've done to this point has been because of everyone, and certainly Jimmy's a big part of it, but it's players, coaches, everyone coming together.
Coach will stay in the third row.
Hey, Paul, over here. You know, winning this game would kind of lift this program to the college football playoff, probably for the first time in program history. Do you guys feel that this is arguably the biggest game in program history?
You know, this game, we are really, and I know our team is proud to have earned the right to play here, and it's all about winning the Big Ten championship, and that's huge. And what comes after that, you know, whatever it is, we'll embrace it. And yet, the best way to enjoy the moment, and I think be the best in those moments, is to be just that, be there. And it's about tomorrow night's game, playing against a really good Ohio State football team. And if you win, you are Big Ten champions, and that's big.
Questions for Coach Christ? Left side. We'll let Savannah get over there to you just a moment, please.
Following up on that, how do you maintain the focus? It seems like each week that you've been able to keep these guys focused on the very next thing and not looking past the bigger picture. And how do you work on that when a week like this is so big and the scrutiny is so much?
I think one thing is that that's always been our approach, And so whether it was a couple years ago, last year, this year, and what it really stems from is that these players spend a lot of time preparing for the season. And, you know, the team is, you know, on our schedule was 12 games. And yet the players aren't guaranteed those games. And the games are the best part of it all. You know, I don't think it, you know, if you were to ask a player what's the best part of playing, probably it's not winter conditioning, it's probably not spring football, it's probably not fall camp, right? It's the games. And to be able to get to play those games, not every player is guaranteed those games. You know, Jack Sitchie, captain for us, misses this whole season, missed 6 or 7 games last year. So you want them to enjoy and appreciate the opportunity that they get each week. And the beautiful thing about a season is it's a journey, but it's made up of, you can kind of put it into nice little, it's 1 week at a time, and then you take that week and it's 1 day at a time. And I think that that's how you enjoy it all. And I think that's also the best way to approach it and be in that moment. And really, nothing else matters other than that moment. And so why don't you be in it and make the most of it? And so when you do come across, whatever it is, if, you know, and certainly there's, you know, our guys are excited to be here. They appreciate it. They know it doesn't just happen. But I think there's a consistency to it and an approach that they're used to so that they can kind of stay the course and keep a focus on the now.
Coach will swing to the right, row 3 back there.
Looking back on that game against Ohio State at Camp Randall last year, obviously that was a high-profile game as well. Do you think that game kind of helped lead up to this year, especially for a lot of those younger players like Alex, who got that experience of that high-pressure game?
I think that every time a player, heck, a coach, gets to be a part of a game, you hope to draw something from it. And so, you know, our seniors have more experiences to draw on. I think you take a little bit from every one of them probably. And so you would hope that those who played in that game took something from it that helped them go forward, whether it's that it was a quote-unquote big game or maybe it was something that happened in the game. Right? It's whatever, you draw on all your experiences. And that's, I think, one way that you can grow as an individual. And I know we got guys that try to do that, you know, and then take away from everything that they do. And that's, I think it's one good way to improve.
Go up 1 row.
Coach, kind of going off that question, you did lose very close games in the Big Ten Championship and to Ohio State last season. You have a chance to accomplish both of those things tomorrow night. How much motivation has that given to this team that lost the Big Ten Championship last year and lost to an Ohio State team where they have the chance to win both of those tomorrow night?
Excuse me. It's the same. If you were to ask, and we do, you know, each player, what's their why? Why are you doing what you're doing? For every player, it's a different why. And we're talking about all those experiences come in. You know, how do you handle it in this situation? It's not that simple where you just say, well, you know, you can't make up for what happened, but you can learn from them. And I think every guy takes it differently. And so I would hope that all of our players take away something from each opportunity and that they can use that on the next game or the next opportunity that they have.
To the left.
Yeah, Paul, I was wondering if you could elaborate on something you said a while ago about your defense. You said we're going to get tested in a different way tomorrow night. Can you elaborate on what you mean there about, I guess specifically about Ohio State's offense?
I think it's a really good offense, and we haven't played them yet. And, you know, I think it's different than any offense we've played to this point.
Questions for Coach Christ? To the right side, please.
Coach, this being a big game and you having a very talented freshman running back, is there any worries with that might get caught up in the lights, or is he showing this season that Jonathan can handle these situations?
I've loved the way that Jonathan's gone about this whole season, and a lot of people would argue that every game he plays is a big game, and certainly this one we're playing for the Big Ten championship. And that's all part of, he has not done that. So that's a new experience for him. I've loved the way that he's approached every new experience that he's gone through this year. And you know what? He doesn't have to go through it alone either. I think our players do a great job of helping each other, passing along information, helping guys, particularly younger players, navigate whatever waters it is. Whether it's on campus, this class, whether it's, in-season workouts, whether it's how you film study, whether it's, what are the best places to go eat. I think our guys really do a good job of taking the younger ones and helping pass along information that eventually the person has to own. And I've really been impressed. That's one thing I think I've been most impressed with JT this year, is how he's been able to be in that moment and appreciate it, enjoy it, but keep working. And so I know he's excited.
Additional questions for Wisconsin coach Paul Christ. Far right side.
Paul, Michael Dieter, what exactly has he done to contribute to this team's success? Obviously, he plays a key position on the line, but what stands out to you about the success that he's had to help you guys as a whole be successful this season?
Yeah, Michael's been great, and he's an unbelievable worker. He enjoys playing. He enjoys being with the guys. He brings great energy, and on the field, he's played center, guard, and tackle. He's a guy that will do anything for this team, and I think he's playing at a really good level. So he's a good football player, great teammate. I think he's a leader on this team. I've loved being around him, loved seeing his growth. We saw him his freshman year, sophomore year. This is now his third year. It's fun to see a player's growth, but he's a huge part of this team.
Left side.
Hi, Paul. Just you guys being 12-0 and going into this game, and a lot of people still saying, who have they beaten? And do you feel like you guys, your players, have a chip on your shoulder going into this game and wanting to prove that they're as good as their record indicates?
I know our players are excited about this game because we get to play against a really talented, well-coached, good Ohio State football team, and it's for the Big Ten championship. That's the focus. That's what they're talking about. And that's what we feel.
Across the aisle.
Hey, Paul. There was a time where the Big Ten championship was everything, and then you went to the Rose Bowl. But now you have the playoff out there. It's being discussed as much as your players, you want to shield them from it. Is that added a level of difficulty for you and other coaches, that it's not just about a league championship, but it's about this other system and getting into the Final Four?
I don't know I certainly can't speak for everyone, but I know what's in front of us right now, and that's it's exciting, and there's a challenge to that. And so it hasn't been hard for our group to be able to lock into this week and go. So I don't know if I can speak, nor would I want it for everyone.
Paul, right here, Ohio State has accumulated talent at a pretty remarkable pace in the recruiting rankings since Urban Meyer took over in 2012. I think that there's without question that maybe one of the more talented teams, if not the most talented team in college football from a natural talent standpoint. When it comes to facing just natural athletes, good. So when it comes to facing natural athletes like that with the depth that they have, what different challenges does it provide or pose for you as a coaching staff to get them prepared, maybe even more so than another team that just doesn't have that natural ability?
You prepare to play the game, and it's a really, what you're saying, talented, but they're a well-coached, good football team, and it's a football game, and that's what we focus on, is how to play our best football and give ourselves a chance. You know, you want to give them the best chance they can to go out and play. It's about football, and they're it's a good football team, really good football team, and certainly they've got the talent, but they're well coached, and that's what you prepare for, is to play the game, and we want our players to have the best chance, and I feel good about the way they prepared, and now we get to go play the game.
On the right.
Hey, Paul. Along those lines, do you pay any attention at all to recruiting rankings, stars, et cetera? And in general, what do you look for when you're recruiting a player?
What we look for is, you know, I think it starts, do you think they're a good enough football player to help you? And then it's getting to know them. Would they be a great fit for this team? And if they're a great fit for our team, then, you know, they still have to decide if Wisconsin's a great fit for them, right? It's two. And that's the biggest thing that we focus on.
Questions for Coach Christ? Any final questions? All right, Coach Christ, thank you very much for your time. Good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'd like to offer just a couple of quick reminders as we depart this afternoon. Once again, your credentials are good for Big Ten Fan Fest throughout the weekend, open from 10 a.m. until 8 tomorrow. Tomorrow's kickoff will be 8:17 p.m. Eastern Time, broadcast live on Fox. Perhaps most importantly, our pregame meal is from 6 to 8 in this room tomorrow night. Thank you, everybody. Do you want to keep the name cards here? Part of me thinks that they're okay, but I don't know if you want to. You never know if they get pitched by even a cleaning crew or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was gonna. Yep. Bingo. Gotcha. Somebody's coming for the trophy, right?
Yeah, they'll be up momentarily.
Yes, good point. I suppose those might be used again. Let's go run these down the hall. Here, I'm going to give these to you since you have everything flat.